Hello everybody, my name is Bronson Wright. Welcome to Ignition Golf. Today we're going to continue with the short game theme that I've been talking to you about in the videos this week, and I'm going to talk to you today about wedges. I have 3 wedges here, and we're going to talk more importantly about the bounce on these wedges. Now I'm going to give you a close-up of each one and talk to you a little bit about the difference that you're seeing as I hold these up. So all 3 of these wedges have 8 degrees of bounce. All right, now that's kind of a mid-bounce wedge. Lower bounce wedges, you're getting into 4 degrees of bounce. High bounce wedges, anything 11, 12 degrees or higher is considered a high bounce wedge. So first I'm going to show you this Mizuno wedge. You can see here we've got a little bit of a grind on this wedge from heel to toe, and hopefully you can see that grind that has been put onto that wedge. So again, that has 8 degrees of bounce. And then I'm going to show you these two side by side. You can see this wedge here has a wider sole than this wedge right here that I'm pointing at. So this is a wide sole wedge, and this is just a standard sole wedge, okay, 58 degrees and 60. But all these wedges have 8 degrees of bounce on them. All right, so what I want to talk to you about is static bounce and effective bounce. So the static bounce is in the static motion, it's not moving. We measure this wedge and we come up with 8 degrees of bounce. Now that doesn't mean that when you're swinging it, all of these wedges are going to react the same. There's different effective bounces. All right, so the effective bounce of this wedge here, the Mizuno with the grind, is much lower than that of this wide sole wedge that I showed you. So there's less material here that's making contact with the ground. So just like a sharp knife, it's going to dig into the ground a little bit. All right, so again, less width to the sole. Even if the bounce is the same, it's going to dig a little bit more. It's going to allow you to open up that face, hit a little higher flop shots, things of that nature. Now, how we're able to measure this is just with a bounce gauge, and I've got one of those here for you to show you. So here's a bounce gauge, and you see this is held onto the gauge with a magnet here, and then when you press it up against there, you need to make sure it's in the center of the sole. It will give me a reading here on what the true bounce is of that wedge. You can't just go and look and say, oh, this wedge has an 8 on it. Let me see so you can see it there. An 8, so it has 8 degrees of bounce. It doesn't work that way. It's just like the lofts, lies, lengths on the golf clubs. They need to be measured and looked at exactly from a machine or a gauge that I just showed you here. So make sure you get your wedges measured, and also take a look at the grind or the width of the sole so that you can know what the effective bounce on that wedge is, not just the static bounce. So this is kind of a confusing topic. It's something that people always have a lot of questions on. Feel free to post the comments down below. We'll take a look at them. We'll help you understand a little bit more in depth if you need it on what the bounce of the wedge is and how that affects the shots that you're trying to hit out on the golf course. All right, thanks again for joining us today, and I look forward to talking to you soon.